Last week we talked about you're just getting started with your photography and you're thinking about what camera should I buy. And I gave you some tips and I gave you some questions that you need to ask yourself, and you've done all of your homework, you've done your research, so you know, okay, what purpose you're getting the camera for, what you're going to use it for. You know your purpose, and then you've looked at the family that you want to join, what brand of camera that you want to purchase, and once you've seen the brand of camera, then you figured out your budget. Because you know, that has a lot to do with what you're going to go with. So you got your budget, you know your family, and you know your purpose. So now let's get into the lens. All right, what lens should I be looking at? Depends on the length, the focal length that you want to go with, and if you want to do a fixed or zoom. Okay, so a fixed lens. I like fixed lens because I know what I'm getting, right? I know that if I want a 35 millimeter lens, then I'm going to probably get a lot of my scene, in which I'm a portrait photographer mainly, and I do lifestyle and I do branding. So when I'm working with clients and doing their branding shoots and doing their branding sessions, I like to capture the environment. And for me, the 35 is great for that. A zoom lens would also be great for tight spaces if you've never been into the space before. And to me, probably I use the 24-105. The only thing about that is that it's a f4, which means I can't go lower than an f4. So I'm not gonna let in a lot of light with an f4. That means I gotta change the triangle. I gotta change something in the triangle. I have to choose my bad person, a prime person. You like primes, you're sticking with one focal length, and you're gonna have probably about three lenses in your bag. You're probably gonna have a 35, a 50, and probably 85. Those are the three most people will have in their bag if they're a prime user. So one thing that I guess I really want to stress is that when you're picking your lens, is that you find out what is most important to you when you're photographing something. Is it the environment? You know, are you going to is the environment part of the story that you're telling when you're photographing something? So if that environment is important to you, then that will guide you to what lens that you want to use. Do you want to use a wide angle lens, right? Or do you want to use a tight shot lens? If you're doing, headshots, then more than likely you want a tighter lens, which will probably be like a 85 or 100 millimeter. When I'm doing headshots, mainly I'm going to use an 85, hands down. And then you have to decide, do I want a prime lens or do I want a zoom lens? So there are things there to consider when you're purchasing your lens. But first, we're talking about beginners, and we're talking about your kit lens. So your camera came with a kit lens. So let's focus on the kit lens that you have. Practice on that kit lens and decide what focal length is your best one and what you're photographing. And is what you're photographing telling the story that you want it to tell? Do you want to include the scenery? Do you want to include the environment in that capture? So yes, first, you got your budget, you're in your family, you know your purpose. You're gonna practice on your kit lens just to get an idea and become familiar with that focal length that you like, and to practice with your aperture, right? What aperture do you want? Because the lower, low, the more light you let in, and depending on how far you are away from your subject, you get this blurriness, right? And that bokeh, or however you want to say it, but the blurriness is a lot of what makes the picture just stands out most of the time. And that's what you want. You want your photos to stand out and be different, but also be you and be your style. So yeah, so next time in part 3 of this series, we're gonna talk about camera bags and what's in your camera bag and how important it is to have a good camera bag to protect it. So yep, that's it. Again, thank you all for stopping in, listening to me ramble about, you know, cameras and lens and everything like that. But I'm here for you. I'm here if you have any questions or anything like that. I do the best of my ability to answer. And if it's about Canon, I'm going to try to answer it because that's what I use, okay? I'm a Canon girl. I shoot on Canon. Plain and simple. But again, thank you again. Thank you all for stopping by. Stay tuned for next week and more talk on beginning camera gear and advice and tips and questions. That's it. Thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that on all social medias. I'm from Nisha's View. All right. Bye.